She sent me a text message that she'll call me back. The last time she did that, it took her 3 weeks. Right now, my computer's almost dead. My phone, I have to use up what little gas that I have to keep a charge on it. It's at 13% now. And Shannon just sent an audio clip. At school. Yeah. So, I don't have a place where I can plug in my computer. There's no Starbucks in Rawlins, Wyoming. The closest we got is McDonald's. There's a grand total of one seat in the whole place that has a plug-in. So my computer's gonna die and I have no place to charge it. And McDonald's, they're a little different than Starbucks. McDonald's, they don't really like you, so they do what they can to make sure that their real customers don't have to see you. Sure, you're supposed to have a half an hour, but when you look like I do, you rarely get that half hour. It'd be nice to have access to a shower every day. It'd be nice to have my money back. It'd be nice if I could have gotten just one person to actually listen to what was going on and help how I asked. Because unlike them, I am aware of the situation. I'm in the situation. When I say, hey, I have been tagged with the mentally ill tag. If nobody goes in with me, they can do whatever they want, and they will. And that's exactly what they did. And although I've been explaining this for probably 20 years, nobody fucking listens. 20 years of not being a piece of shit. But it turns out you really have to be a piece of shit. If you are not a piece of shit, nobody gives a fuck. If you're not screaming at them and calling them bitches and cunts, they don't give a fuck. All these people that promised to help me, and I jumped through all the hoops for the help that they promised. From Shannon Alvarado to Rayanna, even Aunt B. I jumped through the hoops that they wanted for the help that they thought that I needed, when really, with every single one of these people, we agreed upon the help that I needed. We agreed they were going to help me how I needed. When I got there, well, they just didn't have time. It's not that they didn't have time, it's that they just didn't fucking care. Shannon isn't really a selfish person. Rihanna's not really a selfish person. Miranda is selfish as fuck. But the other thing is, when you're an addict, you are selfish. When you drink as much as Rihanna does, you've deprived yourself of a lot of oxygen, and you aren't worth having a conversation with. It's not that I don't consider you a person, it's that you aren't capable of understanding because you're drunk. Same thing with Shannon. So I try to get Shannon to talk to me when she's sober, but no, it is frustrating because she literally waits until she is drunk to call me. And then I'm like, Shannon, please sober up just one night. I mean, that was the thing while I was there that was the biggest issue. I mean, that was a bigger issue than her going off on her boyfriend all the damn time. It was a bigger issue than me not being able to make phone calls during normal business hours when people can actually answer the phone because she's afraid that she's going to get her kid taken away for screaming at her. Well, it's a different scenario. It's not like Amy's kids over at Rayanna's getting screamed at. I mean, first of all, Amy's kids know exactly what they're doing wrong. And well, there's a lot more differences than that. What I'm saying is that when it all comes down to it, I kept my word. I jumped through the hoops. The people said, "Hey, Sean, if you do this, I'll do this." So I did what they wanted, and they didn't fulfill their end of the bargain. And that keeps happening. Like, I invested my resources into the help that you promised, and I showed up for the help that you promised, and I agreed to terms in order to get that help. But then I end up doing all the running around and all the jumping through hoops, and I don't get the help that was promised. In a lot of these situations, I didn't know what I was jumping into. With Shannon Alvarado, I didn't know that she was an alcoholic. I was just hoping that she wasn't a crackhead or a meth addict. With Rihanna, at least I knew that she was an alcoholic when I got here, before I got here. I was supposed to be coming down to help her out. She was going to help me out. It was just going to be the two of us. Matter of fact, we were going to go to Washington State. She was going to meet me up there. But that didn't happen because she took Amy's kids. Not like stole them, but Amy says that she can't take care of the kids. And the kids are tired of getting hit by Josh. It's not easy. And what Rihanna's going to be going through, well, that Miranda lady is definitely a fucking game player. She's also an alcoholic, so she's not going to hear anything anybody else has to say. And she talks nonstop about herself. And then she wants to go talking about other people's business. Now, I get in trouble for that, don't I? You're damn right I do. But the thing is, if I'm talking about somebody else's business, it's because that business directly affects me and it directly affects the lives of others. I'm the hero I needed as a kid. Your kids come first and foremost. If I have known you for 25 years and you were my best friend on the planet and I have never met your kids, ever, your kids are still more important to me than you will ever be. Now, with Amy and her meth addiction, and Rihanna and her alcohol addiction, and Shannon and her alcohol addiction, of course, Lana with her penis addiction and power struggle issues. You know, her and Amanda had problems with that all growing up. But the thing is, women will work together to destroy a man's life because they're vindictive. They're taught to be here in the United States of America. You are taught to be vindictive, and men are taught to be violent. And then you say, well, we're trying to get away from violence. Then you reward the violent men, the perpetrators. Like Amy Witcher was going to leave Andrew Witcher and she was going to go out with a guy named John. Do you know why she didn't? Because I exposed Andrew as a child molester. But I love him. Well, great. You love an addict. That's a tough life to live now. When you chose that addict over your children, that's where I had the issue. Shannon Alvarado is at least a functional alcoholic. Now, given the circumstances of her family's not in great shape. Her dad, he broke his neck. Can't move his arms, can't move his legs, you know. But because of that shitty situation, she has housing. Because of the shitty things that happened to her father, she has a roof over her head. If my dad broke his neck, would I go take care of him? Yeah. Even after all the shit that he pulled? Yeah. He's still a human being. And although he can't see me that way, it doesn't matter. Because I'm not my dad. My dad's whole beef while I was up there was that I didn't have my disability money coming in. I explained to him that I needed to get that court stuff taken care of. And you know, he actually said that he would take a look at that with me. He just never tried. Every time we sat down to do that, it was him being an asshole, being condescending, talking down to me, telling me how to think and feel. Well, I'm going to tell you how to think and feel. You need to think of the perpetrators as your enemies, not the homeless, not men who are unattractive. And I'm going to tell you how to feel. If you let your perpetrator go 20 years ago, keep in mind that when it comes to rape and child molestation, there is no statute of limitations. Darren O'Connor was wrong. Problem is, it was so many years ago. You need to feel disgusted by this. You need to feel disgusted with yourself for letting him go. If you let him go 20 years ago, he's had 20 years to do those things to others.